everyone, to an episode of Podcast of the Fallen that I've been looking forward to because what a pair of chapters we have today. Matt's shaking his head. We're covering chapters 23 and 24, and for those of you that know, something big happens at the end of chapter 24.
I I finished it and I was like, I feel like we should just postpone this and just read it all in one go. I don't know if I want to end with this.
Well, so I was actually, it's Tuesday right now. I was thinking, should we just finish the book and record again on Thursday? Because I also hated ending on that note.
I feel like this is a good experience for us to know maybe we shouldn't end on a note like this, but we'll do it this once. But
Yeah. But I am down to record again in 2 days so we can finish the book out.
I mean, well, we maybe would have to do it like on Saturday or something, but
Oh,
we'll
yeah.
see. Because my Wednesdays are usually pretty packed, but be a lot of reading.
Yeah. Well, we could do it Thursday.
I know, but like I'd have to read that
Oh,
much by Thursday is what I'm saying.
oh, yeah.
It's
Fair
the
enough.
it's the drawback. It's being in school is the worst sometimes. It takes so
Well,
much of your time.
we also can't do this weekend because I'm up at my cabin.
Oh, that's right.
I'm leaving Friday through Saturday or Friday through
Ah,
Sunday. I'm up there.
gotcha. We have to wait till next week. I mean, we'll read it, but like I have to talk about it until next week. But
Let's get started. Chapter 23 is going to take me forever to read because it's long.
you know,
Chapter 23. Picker waits for Blend and the patrol to return. Blend sneaks up to her and Paran and is berated by the captain for leaving the patrol behind. Picker thinks to herself that they finally found a good captain. Ansi reports that Seta is a dead city. Paran says they're bypassing Morik and running point all the way to Coral. The sappers are pissed because of the missing munitions Quick gave to Fiddler, but Picker says that they have more than enough. Twist tells Paran that the schism between the Moranth and the Barghast came because the Moranth sheltered the Taistadur in their forest, and they don't fear change, while the Barghast do. Krupp makes fun of some Barghast children before Hatan comes up and says that the Malazans are only marching with a third of their number. Krupp has noticed as well, and Hatan says she will bed him tonight. Whiskey Jack denies the request of Silver Fox's two Marines to rejoin the company. He thinks about the rest he'll need to give to his army before Coral and walks to Dujak's tent, where the Fifth's bodyguard refuses to salute him. Dujak is packed and ready to ride ahead. Soldiers have been peeling off every night. Lasine is sending Dujak ahead because Whiskey Jack is more important to the army, and Dujak agrees. She wants Whiskey Jack to lead the Seven Cities campaign against the rebellion, but Whiskey Jack says, "Fuck that, I'm retiring," and Dujak agrees. He asks Whiskey Jack to share one last meal with him. Piran and the bridge burners descend with the Moranth to investigate a corpse on the riverbank. They determine it's a Teist eater that was killed by suddenly experiencing immense pressure. Quick Ben says it was likely the Roos Warren, Path of the Sea, and there's not a high mage of Roos in the entire Malazan Empire. Piran has a gut feeling the Eater was killed by another of its kind. The Eater are of Elder Shadow, and they wonder if they may be trying to fight Shadow Throne, who rules over the shadow of a shadow. Piran shifts into a place of the Deck of Dragons and focuses on the Hold of Shadow. He appears somewhere that he knows is his own world. He hears the sea and knows instinctively that the Teist Eaters seek their throne once again. The throne speaks to him and tells him it is on the Wandering Isle, which Piran recognizes as Drift of Volley. Spawn of Animander Rake were set to guard it, but are gone. The Eater are sworn to destroy Mother Dark, and Piran must beware the one who has been slain 100 times, the deliverer of midnight tides. He tries to find Rake, but finds himself within Dragnapur instead. He speaks with Draconis, who tells him Rake is too merciful and needs to start killing more to keep the wagon away from the chaos that pursues it. Draconis made Dragnapur under the false assumption that Dark needed to be kept from chaos, not realizing that it wandered and kept away on its own. He also didn't realize that order can adapt as well and understands balance, thus the Deck of Dragons. Draconis carries an old enemy who has collapsed to the wagon, and Piran tries again to find Rake but is knocked out. He wakes up the next day and tells Quickben that Rake is gone. Krepp complains about his night with Hatan. Picker watches Piran meet with the mages, a little nervous. She's seen Spindle use his warren with one hand while throwing a Moranth munition with the other. Shank is Seti, but exaggerates it because the Seti have been fully assimilated into Quan culture, and Toes is a necromancer that takes toes from corpses off of battlefields. Mallet and Whiskey Jack's squad have caught on that the captain and Quickben have a separate mission to the bridge burners, and it's got them on edge. Ecovian has enjoyed his time with Stony and Gruntle, and the longer the march goes on, the more he feels like a stranger among the Grey Swords. He reveals that he still carries all the souls he helped with Shield Anvil, and the new Shield Anvil is too young, and such a burden would kill her and wound her god. The group is joined by a Mott Irregular, who reveals they have spies among the Malazans and that the Malazans are trying to reach Morak before Brood. They've been trying to tell the warlord, but have been thwarted by Calor. He also says they recently reacquired a table and are thinking about leaving the army, but they'll stay for the forest around Coral. He describes what the Bold Brothers do when they get angry and says that there's 23 of them. They can't read, but they can count to 10, and that's something, right? After he leaves, Kovian wonders why he's still here. Hatan complains about being sick and that Krupp has become besotted with her. Whiskey Jack reveals they created the Mott Irregulars and know that they're among the army so that they can feed them information. He also tells Humbroltar that because they've treated with the Barghast, they will offer treaties for trade, borders, and so on. If the Barghast refuse, the emissaries will leave, and that will be the last the Barghasts ever see of the Empire unless they change their mind. Tar says they're unusual conquerors and asks why they're on Genabacchus, and Whiskey Jack says to unify and get rich, and there's more than one kind of wealth. He also says diversity is worth celebrating, for it is the birthplace of wisdom. The war chief remarks to Hatan that she might not just be sick, and she promptly vomits all over Whiskey Jack's boots. Corlat rides alone through Morak, wondering why Rick keeps the ND going from conflict to conflict with seemingly no goal or theme. She realizes that maybe it reflects his own search for meaning and is simply a way to keep his people from despair. She knows that if Rake is indeed gone, she will continue to lead her people and ask Whiskey Jack to join her. She reaches the other commanders just as the Malazans arrive. Calor and Brood accuse them of splitting their forces to take Coral for the Empire, and Whiskey Jack counters that they've been hiding Moonspawn, and he says that they need intelligence about the city. He asks them to march quickly to Coral, but Calor wants them to wait to let the army rest. Brood agrees, and Whiskey Jack says they will push on anyways, and Calor realizes he anticipated this, so the Malazans will still reach the city first. Corlat and the Taist ND will accompany the Malazans. Calor balks at this, and Brood says he will never lose trust in the ND, but he begins to doubt Calor more and more. Gruntlin and Kovian hope to cross the river before the Berdarin and come upon a Mott Irregular who is trying to get some of the Berdarin dung. Gruntle asks the Rivi to cross and is denied, when the Irregular punches out one of the Rivi and takes some dung. Kovian says the punch happened too fast for him to see, and Gruntle says that he dropped like a sack of dung, which, after a long moment, makes Kovian smile. Whiskey Jack watches his soldiers attempt to repair 3 wagons mired in mud and thinks about Corlat's new demeanor, Animander Rake, and the pending battle at Coral. He fears they have moved too quickly. Calor watches dust flow uphill and then goes to Caladan Brood, who regrets not joining the Malazans. Calor asks to join Whiskey Jack to advise him and says he has not faced defeat in 100,000 years. Brood says that he never learns and that he's chosen his opponents well, but gives him permission to go. Outside the tent, Calor smiles. Envy's party reaches shore, and Lannis says a group of 20 to 50 people passed by 4 days ago. They leave for Coral. With the help of their mages, the bridge burners discover the Panion's trenches and tunnels. The enemy has sent a company to take command of the complex, and Perron wants them all dead so they don't take word back that the Malazans are here. He orders Spindle and the sappers to cook up something nasty, and Shake will take out their sorcerer. Quick Ben and Shank each sit in a circle of sorcery with twigs taken from the Shane branch. Shake with a bladder full of water as well. Quick Ben taps the 3rd twig in his line, and Shank mutters the final word of his spell, the water from his skin transferring into the lungs of the Panion sorcerer, drowning him. The sappers set off sharpers and crackers to topple the trees down on the enemy and then light them on fire with burners, with archers picking off the ones that flee. Perron thinks he sees a twig figure on Quick's shoulder but dismisses it. Mallet arrives with news that Dujek has arrived. Woo! What a long chapter.
I know. He kept going. I was like, are you sure this is all in the same chapter?
Oh, this is all 23, and then 24 is long AF as well.
Let's see here.
Anyways, first section, we've got just kind of a funny scene. See, this episode is also hard because I feel like it's all overshadowed by what happens at the end of 24.
I know, like, you kept reading, and like, I had read, I think, the first bit of 23, like a few days ago, and then today and yesterday is when I kind of read most of the rest of the stuff. Yeah, I totally forgot that was the beginning of 23. That feels like so long ago.
Uh-huh. Beginning of 23, we've got just a funny scene of Blend sneaking back and ahead of the patrol and being like, heh, I'm back first. And Perron being like, so why'd you leave your comrades behind? Why'd you leave them? And she goes, I don't, they're right back there. Can't you tell? And he's like, no, go back.
Go get him.
And then Picker's like, "Oh yeah, we've got a good captain."
He knows what's up. We kind of see that reappear a little later on,
Yeah, we
but
do. And then after that, we get some lore about why the Moranth and the Barghast separated. Because the Moranth found a fragment of curled Emerlon in their forest and took in some Ticed Eater.
yep. And learned a lot from them. But the Barghest don't like change, which I feel like we saw that earlier in the book,
Oh
where they
yeah, for sure.
finally are like all the spirits are like, yeah, they haven't done anything different for the past forever.
For the past few centuries, at least.
Yeah. Which I mean, like I guess it's understandable. Like the mindset, if it ain't broke, don't fix it.
Hmm.
Just keep going
Well,
with it.
the problem is the Barghast system was broke.
That's true. But like not broken enough that they've like moved on from it, I feel like, where there's like a revolutionary in there.
Well,
Or
that's what
maybe they
Cumberland Tar is trying to be.
yeah, maybe they killed off all the revolutionary people throughout the centuries. They're like, no, we don't like that idea.
Yeah, kill or banish anyone that doesn't do what you like.
Yeah, it's quite easy.
And then Krupp makes fun of some Barghast kids,
Of course he does.
making fun of them being young and being. He compares them to his mule or something like that, and then says that their tribe is doomed.
I think Corlat's not Corlat, what's her
Uh,
bucket? Hatan is just like,
Catan, yeah.
how dare you? I will be with you tonight.
I'm gonna sleep with you tonight. And also, have you noticed that the Malazans are marching with like a third of their number? And Krupp's
Yeah,
like,
whatever.
yeah, wear the misstep, man of Lard. Hatan says to Krupp, and then Krupp swears her without misstep, for he wears wariness well.
I love how just exhausted like Whiskey Jack and Hatan are of him
Oh yeah,
through.
he's wearing on everybody.
But then Umbral Tor a little later, not here, was like, I would much like to meet this man of Darujistan. Which I think is funny that he hasn't met him yet.
And I love how Krupp tells the bar guests that they're doomed, and then and then Hatan's like, "Yeah, you and I were banging tonight," and Krupp goes, "I'm doomed."
Isn't this the part where he's like, I don't want the night to come as well? Doesn't he mention that?
I think that's later
Is that
when
later?
she that's later when she's like, "I'm gonna bed you again, but this time I'm gonna squish you." And before he was talking about how he doesn't want the day to ever end, or he doesn't want the night to ever
The
end or
end?
something.
Yeah.
Or he wants night to come quickly, and then at the end of that section, he's like, "Please, night, never come."
I don't want night to be here.
What did you think of Dujek and Whiskey Jack's conversation?
I made a note of it, I think, actually. I thought it was rather interesting. I guess this is an overall theme of all soldiers. Like just the acceptance of like, we'll see you when I do after we die, kind of like feeling. Like I just think
Yeah,
it's interesting, like the acceptance, like the inevitable acceptance of death, of just like I don't know, that's just part of their job and they're completely content, which I think is interesting.
yeah. Dujek being like, "Share one last meal with me." One last meal before we reunite at Coral, of course.
Yeah. Whiskey Jack's like, oh, don't lie to me.
Yeah, what did you think of their whole plan this whole time being to take more territory for the Empire?
Makes sense, honestly.
It does make sense. Lassine's in a
Like,
bit of a bind, like Dujek says. She's got two commanders left that know Seven Cities. She wants them to get done with this quickly and then go to Seven Cities.
which like makes sense. I mean, like I feel like the Empire, their mentality is conquer to improve. And if you can't conquer but make allies, then like leave the allies be and trade with them. So I don't know, like I'm not terribly surprised.
Yeah. I mean, as we saw at the end of Deadhouse Gates, Seven Cities is not doing too hot.
Nope, not at all
So makes sense that she'd want one of her best commanders that's left
to
there.
go there.
But Whiskey Jack's like, yeah, too bad. I'm retiring. Me and Corlad are gonna go live in a little cabin, and Dujek's like, really? A cabin with her? Okay, maybe a fortress on a mountain.
He's like, I can have my little garden.
You can have your garden, fight weeds.
Yeah, I thought that was funny because he's like, you really think you're gonna live in a log cabin out in the woods? Yeah, I guess not. Fortress overlooking where, we're just kind of chilling.
Yep.
Which I'm like, it's not a bad idea.
No, too bad it won't happen.
Nope. It's depressing.
Uh, I'm gonna. I'm sorry, I'm laughing. I kn- I I knew this was coming, and I felt the exact same way. But I'm gonna keep poking it because I can tell that Matt's just gonna be super sad until we get to that part and can talk about it.
I know. I'm just the inevitable. I'm like, I don't care about the rest of this anymore. This is pointless.
You should, because lots of it's awesome.
No, it is. Like, honestly, up until that point, I was like, wow, this is cool. Like, the Morant, their little backstory, I was like, okay, that's awesome. More lore. I love that, as always. No, their whole conversation was just so depressing. I was like, ah, great. It makes sense, but I did think it was interesting how much Dujek is like, dude, you're the better commander. He's like, I'm gonna go in and fight. He's like, you hang back,
Yep.
which I thought was like, I feel like it kind of makes sense. Like, I feel like Dujek would be that guy. He's like, look, I have one arm. I'm kind of done for. They need a commander who knows what he's doing. Let me just go do it.
Yeah. Dudek's like, if we both live, Lacine wants you to go to Seven Cities, and I guess I'll go to Corel. And Whiskey Jack's like, no one wants to go to Corel. Yeah, but I'd have to.
I'm the only one.
For more information on the campaign in Corel, please see the novels of the Malazan Empire.
Hey, it's good to know.
What did you think of the body that Piran and Quickbin find?
For a brief moment, I feel like other people could have made this like very wrong and knowingly wrong assumption. But like the description, the thought crosses my mind. I'm like, it's talk. Because it's like a disfigured body, and I'm like, oh, talk's dead. We just didn't get any. It's just over.
Nope.
Um,
And yeah,
but no, like it. I thought it was. I'm like, oh, here we go. This is like just another like detail setting up like what else is gonna happen. Like this was very much like they crossed this path again, and this was like Quick Ben running into Burn is like, okay, throw this on the back burner. We still gotta take care of this mess of a, you know, like religious war down here. Then we'll get back to that because that's a big deal. And I feel like that was adding to it. But I feel like that will be like a sidestep before the crippled god and the chaos and all that. Like it will
yeah,
be part of the culminating thing, but this is just like a detail setting up like, okay, this is the next few things that's going to happen probably.
yeah.
But
Part of me feels like it's Erickson at the end of this book being like, now you're about to get an ending, but just so you're aware, there is more that's gonna happen.
yeah, and I mean we see like directly after this like observation what Prawn does, like what's going to happen. Like this is
Yeah,
very much just a small scene setting up the next portion because like we see later on I mean, we'll just get to it, I guess, but like
yeah.
Midnight Tides, Deliver of Midnight Tides, I know that's a book title.
It's book five. Yeah,
It's book five, so obviously it's going to play a part in it. I mean, knowing book titles and when they're kind of thrown in there, you're like, oh, I feel like this is pointing to something, but
yeah. I think that's the third book title we've seen in this book. The
yep,
third future book title, because we've, of course, House of Chains, of course, The Crippled God, and now Midnight Tides.
yeah. And I think back, like this is one of those details I'm like, you really wouldn't have noticed as much if you were reading this as they came out, which I think is
Yeah.
interesting.
I like the Haran being the master of the deck is just a great way for him to like have these gut feelings about things and be like, yeah, that makes sense.
Yeah.
Him
No, I
being
think it's
like,
funny.
yeah, he was killed by suddenly being taken to a place of immense pressure, and Cookman's like, under the sea, there's not a high mage of that warren in the entire empire.
Which I was like, hold on, you just referenced. I'm like, come on, quick, Ben. You're referencing something that now I want to know.
Well, something
But
else we I think we've touched on this a bit, but them being like, yeah, the place that Shadowthrone rules is the shadow of a shadow, or the gateway to the hold of
yeah,
shadow.
which I mean makes sense because we now know like they're basically baby Warrens. Like the product of another Warren or something, right? Or domain.
The holds are the first, they're the beta version,
Yeah,
or maybe the alpha version. Who knows?
one of the
I
two.
don't really know the difference between those terms. Alpha is first, beta second, so they're probably the alpha version.
Yeah. So I definitely think it's really like this was one of my favorite bits. Seeing this because I was just like there's just so much happening here that I was like, okay, this makes me really excited for the rest of the series in the next couple books especially. And then the end happened, but we'll get to that.
What did you think of? So the throne straight up talks to Piran,
Oh yeah.
tells him to beware the one that has been slain 100 times. That's fun.
We don't know what that is, right?
No.
Okay.
But the Throne of Shadow is in Piran's world, and it's a place that he has heard of. We have heard
And
the name Drift of Ollie before.
try what part what when was that referenced?
I won't say when
Dang it.
because yeah, I don't want you to put together too much too early, but we have heard that name before.
Okay. Yeah, because I did sound familiar, so I was like, okay, that makes sense. Wandering
And
Isle, Drift of Volley.
yep,
Yeah, then Rake and his peeps were set to guard it, but have since disappeared,
yep.
which like is starting to like make the disappearance and the hidingness of Moonspawn like, oh, what's going on?
I will tell you the disappearance of the ones on Drift of Ollie is not related to Rake disappearing.
Oh, it isn't.
No.
Hmm. Interesting.
And then Piran goes inside Dragnapur again and talks to Draconis, who's like, yeah, so I made this sword for the wrong reason. I thought that it would keep Dark from being consumed by chaos, but I didn't realize that Dark can do that on its own. And tell Rick that he needs to start killing more people because we need more people to pull the wagon until the sword is destroyed.
Which is kind of crazy to me, but what's the wagon doing? Like,
So if you remember when Piran went in there the first time,
yeah,
he released the Hounds of Shadow through that portal underneath the
okay.
wagon. The wagon is pulling the portal to Curled Ghislaine, the Tystandi Dark, the Darkness Warren.
Oh, gotcha.
And so Draconis says that if, because they've got this sentient like cloud of chaos chasing them, and Draconis says that if chaos catches them, then through Curled Ghislaine it will be able to infest the world and just basically end of the world consequences.
Makes sense.
Another
But if
thing to
he
end the world.
but if he destroys the sword, then it can't.
Yeah, if he destroys the sword, then because he says before houses there were holds, and before holds there was wandering, and the gateway to
Mm,
dark used to just wander and
yeah,
like hide from chaos. And so if the sword is destroyed, then that wagon stops being the focal point for the gate, and the gate can wander again
yeah.
and not be
I
caught.
that was interesting as well. They brought up the idea of order, like order and chaos. I'm like, that makes sense. You got Warrens of Light, Warrens of Order, I guess, which would be the House of, not Deck of Dragons, I mean.
A deck of dragons, order can adapt and understands balance.
Yeah, I thought that was a cool idea.
And then Piran tries to find Rake, and something happens, and he falls unconscious.
Yeah, something hits him, it sounds like. Yeah, no, that's a weird mystery. But like, I wonder if it has something to do with the secrets of Moonspawn and the Seer.
Good. Then we've got Krupp complaining about his night with Hatan, that she threw him around and made him do cartwheels. But before one of my favorite just short Krupp lines, talking about the city that they just passed. It bodes ill, those ill abodes.
Oh yeah, there's so many crep lines that like you're just so good.
Yeah,
I did love how you mentioned the cartwheels, and she's like, "We didn't do cartwheels, but we'll do that tonight."
we'll do that tonight.
Because is
Those
this a
weren't
part?
cartwheels, those were flops.
Yeah, and then wasn't this like it's 2 days after, and like he finally starts talking again.
Oh yeah, yeah.
Yeah,
And Whiskey Jack's like, I thought you shut him up. I thought I did too. And Krupp's like, no. I've been thinking.
thinking I have been.
Oh, is that who Krupp is? Just a fat Yoda in a red waistcoat.
No, Yoda's like wise. Krupp is weird.
I don't know. Crep seems kind of wise.
He is, but the weirdness is more prevalent.
And that's not the case with Yoda.
No, not at all. A short green little alien living in a swamp that speaks backwards.
I
Not
mean,
at all.
in the Empire Strikes Back, Yoda is so weird.
Yeah, he's odd.
Like Yoda messing with Luke in the Editor Nathan here. Sorry, but we appear to have lost some audio, which is why we go from talking about Yoda to talking about Picker and Spindle. I don't know how much audio we lost, but yeah, sorry about that. With the mages, and she's nervous whenever mages get together, and she thinks about how she's seen Spindle using magic with one hand while throwing a munition with the other one.
That is a sight to behold, I bet.
Oh, yes. We get some descriptions of the other two, just short little things, which some people find annoying when Erickson throws these short little character descriptions in, but I really like it.
Which one was this?
So you're on the Malazan Empire's main continent,
Yep.
and
Yeah.
then Toes is a necromancer that cuts toes off of corpses and dries them and hangs them on his uniform.
It sounded like he's like a okay necromancer, just by the sound of it.
And he claims he's haunted by ghosts, and by taking off the toes, that he makes them fall over so much so that they don't catch him.
He's such a bizarre mage. But I think it's hilarious that that's all they have left. A
Yeah,
weird
Dietrich's army
necromancer.
is, yeah, this army is battered.
Which one's the one? Is it who paid to have like a really crappy costume, like romanticized costume?
Oh, that's Shank.
That Shank, that's right.
Yeah, he's wearing like like an exaggerated assortment of SETI garb that was made for him by a theater company or something.
Something like that. Like I think those descriptions are awesome. I think they're so funny. Like it just adds just like short world building, but I feel like it's good.
Yeah, that thing about Shank makes me wonder, like, is what he's wearing, would that be like offensive to actual SETI people?
I know.
Like, would it be like someone that's like 1/16th Native American buying a Native American costume from a theater troupe here in the States and wearing it and being like, yeah, this is what my ancestors wore?
My one ancestor. I kind of had that same thought. I'm like, wait, isn't that like, wouldn't that be like the same thing? But I love how it's exaggerated. Like it's so fake.
And then Malik comes up and is like, yeah, so me and Trots and Hedge, we've been around Quick Ben a lot and we know when that bastard is up to something.
He
So
is.
Picker's like, I've wondered why Trots is smiling so much. Malik's like,
His
yeah,
uns
he does that when he gets nervous.
his unsettling smile.
Well, his teeth are sharpened too.
Yeah. No, any time there's a description of Trots, he's brought up, I'm like, he seems very like a very unsettling guy to be around.
Oh, absolutely. And he's got blue tattoos covering like his whole body.
Yeah. I'm like, I'm sure he's a nice guy, but he's kind of weird and unsettling.
Randomly. That just reminded me. You know Daniel Green, right? On
Yeah.
YouTube. He did a video once where he was like ranking in a tier list how likely he would be to date different fantasy characters. And someone from Malazan came up, and Daniel said, I'm not dating anyone from Malazan because they all terrify me.
I
I'm
don't
like, you
blame him.
know, that yeah, I can totally see that. Um,
100%.
I think they would all terrify me in real life.
Yeah. Wait, are you talking about sorry? That wouldn't terrify you?
Yeah, I mean, there's also the issue that Apsalar's a teenager.
Oh, yeah, I forget. That's true.
Uh, Picker and Blend, nah. Um, we haven't met many adult women in the series so far. Tattletale, nah, she's like 200.
And dead and reincarnated in a spirit in a body of four other people, three other people.
Yep,
Uh, Lacine, the Emperor,
no.
Empress, I mean.
Corlett, Corlett, yes.
Yeah. But Whiskey Jack. All right, took her heart.
Hey, I mean, if I was gay, I would date Whiskey Jack.
Can't do that anymore.
In my heart,
Um,
I can.
Hatan,
No. Stunny, no.
Stoney's mean.
Speaking of Stani, look at that segue.
Yeah. Yeah,
Um,
that is the next one.
yeah, next scene we've got it. Kovian's like, oh, it's nice to have friends. And looking at the other shield and well, I can see how everyone else saw me, and that kind of sucks.
Yeah. No, it does. I mean, it's understandable by like what you're doing, but like, yeah, no, it's not great.
Kovian's like, yeah, half the fun is listening to Gruntle and Stani argue about what actually happened in their stories.
Yeah.
Yeah, Kovian's still curing all of the souls, and he's like, yeah, the new one can't handle it. It would like wound her god and kill her.
Which is crazy to me
Mm-hmm.
that he's still like possessing it all.
And Stoney's like, why can't I have normal friends?
Calls over a regular, finds out their friends are not too unnormal.
Yeah, and once again, we've got another dick size joke in the series. She's like, where'd you
Yep.
get such a big nose? And Quintus like, don't be mean. Big noses, big hands. You know what that means, right?
The Mott irregulars sound like a strange group of folks.
Oh, yes, they are. Yeah, they're like, we're not really supposed to be here. Calor ordered us to stay when they left, but we don't like Calor, so we don't do what he says.
I don't blame them. It's a good thing they don't.
And yeah, we've got spies among the Malazans. They tell us what's going on. You guys don't know what the Malazans are doing?
We didn't know we could play spies. Oh yeah, no, we've been spying on them for a while.
We keep trying to tell Brood, but Calor keeps stopping us. And then he says, "Oh yeah, we got our table back, but the legs are gone now."
Which
That's
is
the that's the same table from earlier, yeah. The
yep,
Turan's still painted on it, probably.
probably. No, I think it's funny that the legs are gone, but they're just hauling around this tabletop.
Yep.
They can play some tabletop games. It's
Uh,
so bad.
and then he's like, "Yeah, you like the Hulk. You don't want to see us when we're angry, or you don't want to see the Bull brothers when they're angry. Oh,
But
they sound like a formidable pair. There's 23 of them.
they're all not that short either.
They can't read, but they can count to 10.
It's the way to do it. They sound like a backwoods
Oh yeah,
society.
they're swamp people.
Yeah, exactly. But like they're super smart in certain aspects. Like if they're holding off the Malazans that much,
Well,
which
but oh yeah, I guess yeah, Whiskey Jack does say that was a hard campaign.
yeah. So they're the kind of guys like in certain aspects, like you couldn't like you can mess with them, but in others you couldn't cross them because they're pretty intelligent. Which I think this is like a good example of like what is intelligence as they ask in the psychology world.
They may not be book smart or street smart, but they're swamp smart.
Yeah, they are.
And then Covian's like, "Why am I still here?" And then we find out later why he's still here.
He used to hang around a little longer.
Yeah. And then we get the second scene of this is Hatan and Humbreltar and Whiskey Jack, and Hatan's like, he wasn't supposed to fall in love with me.
She's now scared of him.
Yeah, I gotta keep him
I,
away.
I love that so much that the table has turned.
Yeah. Yeah. And then this is where Whiskey Jack's like, yeah, we know that the irregulars have spies, so we just feed them what we want them to know.
Yeah.
And Tara's like, you guys are too complicated.
He's like, yes and no. We sometimes are, other times we're pretty straightforward.
We want land and we want to unify and we want to get rich.
Yep. He's like, but since we're kind of friends now, like we could be allies. We won't conquer you guys.
Yeah, we've traded with you. We follow those precedents. If you want, we can trade. If not, no worries.
Just be careful down the line.
Yeah. I mean, kind of a good policy for an empire to have, but
Yeah.
also if the Barghest had attacked them first, then that's not an option.
Nope. I don't think the Empire's really in a position to be fighting the Barghast.
No,
They're a little
no,
spread thin.
they very much are. Yeah, as we know, Coltane's entire army is gone. So that's not great.
Yeah, Coltane's gone. They were all put on trees or killed. Let's see. It sounds like most of Dewjack and Whiskey Jack's army's gone. So that's kind
I
of
mean,
two separate continents.
not most of it.
A good chunk, though.
Yeah. we see quite a few die in the next chapter.
Yeah. But I mean, like, it sounds like they're gonna have to kind of just like throw the stake in the ground, like hold their ground for a little bit to regrow and then keep expanding, or else
Yeah.
they're gonna spread themselves too thin.
And then I put Whiskey Jack's quote in the summary so I would not forget it because it's one of my favorite quotes from the entire series. Diversity is worth celebrating, for it is the birthplace of wisdom.
It's a good line. I was wondering if you're gonna mark that one.
Oh, absolutely. I have no idea who said this, but like diversity for diversity's sake is a good thing. Like celebrate diversity, get to know all different kinds of people.
Yeah. Respect it. Like
Yeah,
respect the differences.
respect the differences, embrace them. Because if you stick to just people that are like you won't have a very good view of the world.
And then you fall into the trap of the social media echo chamber, where you think there is diversity, but there really isn't because it's all the same thing.
Yes. And then the war chief to his daughter is like, I wonder if you're not just sick. What if you're like pregnant? And then she throws up all over Whiskey Jack's boots.
Ah, poor guy. I thought that was pretty funny because it's just hilarious to me that's her dad there. Ah, how like her mother she is.
Yeah. And he's like, yeah, I left my wife behind. Maybe by the time we get to Coral, I'll be far enough away.
Maybe. But Coral doesn't sound like too great of a place right now.
No, it's not great. Next scene, we've got Corlat riding through Marek, thinking about Rake and why does he keep taking us from place to place to place without explanation or anything? And then she's like, oh, it's because he's searching for something too. And like, there's no
Yep.
noble cause behind it. It's just to keep us busy.
Like to keep them from pondering too much, keep them distracted.
Yeah, because they've got depression times about 1,000.
Oh yeah. I mean, when Ikovian sees her and he has the souls of, you know, a destroyed city, and he's like, "Oh crap, I should have done that."
Yeah, you by yourself, one Taistandi is not. I can't do that.
Nope, not at all.
And she's like, "Oh, is that right? Why Rake is so distant? Because he doesn't want us to know what he's doing."
It's probably a good thing. I think it's interesting, like how much during this time she, like, a moment of like maybe I'll have to lead. Like she kind of gets lost in thought of like, oh, I now see the implications of being a leader and like what Rake's been through, like a little more.
Yeah, so if he is gone, I'll have to lead and hope Whiskey Jack joins me.
And her tower in the mountains is Whiskey Jack's hope.
Yep. She gets to the commanders, starts talking to her brother in their native language, and Calor is like, "Can you speak so the rest of us can understand, please?"
Why would we? We don't like you.
Yeah. Whiskey Jack does some deft maneuvering here, though. They're like,
Oh,
"You're trying to take Coral," and he's like, "Yeah, and you guys are hiding stuff too, and we need intelligence for the city." Calor's like, "We need to wait," and Whiskey Jack's like, "Okay, we'll go on ahead anyways." Wait, you wanted us to say that so that you could go ahead and still be first to the city.
yep, that's exactly the plan. Yep. We're gonna go in and knock on the door and enter with a bang. Then you guys can come do your thing if you want.
Yeah. And I also love that Calor's first argument is that they need to wait so that the Panions exhaust the like so that the Panions get weaker by destroying Dujek's pathetic army. And then when that doesn't work, he's like, surely Dude One Arm's vaunted host can last for more than a day or two. And Corlat's brother is like, trying a new tack? Because he just flips positions on what he thinks about
Yep.
Dujek's army.
I know. I think it's so funny. Like Cowler just keeps like Corlat's brother just the entire time is just like, so you've said a lot of these things before, but now you're like eating your words. How do you feel about that?
I think when this is over, I will come for you, Calor. Yeah, the Tyson D will go, and Calor's like, ah, see, they're lovers. We can't trust them. And Brood's like, yeah, so my trust in the Tyson D was earned centuries ago, probably millennia ago. It's never been broken. They've never given me a reason to doubt them. But I'm doubting you a lot, Calor.
He's like, you give me more than one reason.
Well, and then we see that Calor is still afraid of Caladan Brood. which he tries not to show because Calor's like, yeah, keep pushing me and you'll regret it. And Brood's like, that would not be wise. Like
Yep.
threatens him right back, and Calor visibly pales. Like, oh, that wasn't good.
Yeah. No, and then is it later?
Yeah, we've got a
Oh yeah,
later
it's
scene with
later.
him and Brood.
That later scene. I had something to say, but we'll get to that.
Just another fun scene. Gruntlin and Kovian are trying to cross the river. They come upon another irregular who's like, "Yeah, we've gotten into some fist fights over their dung. We need it."
Of course they have. That's my thought. Is like, of course they have. Like that sounds like the exact thing the model irregulars would be fighting over.
Well, and then he punches one of the Rivi out and takes some of their dung, and Kovian's like, "I didn't even see that happen. He
Blindingly
fell.
fast.
He fell like." And then Gruntle finishes like a sack of dung,
That
and then just long moment, and then Kovian gets it and smiles.
Jacobian's slow to the jokes. He doesn't get the dad jokes. It's his first time around a sense of humor. So he's like, wait a second, that was wordplay.
Well,
Oh,
he went from stiff soldier, priest, military decorum to Gruntle, like overnight.
to laughing at a horrible joke.
Yes.
We love to see great characters fall. Just kidding.
Small scene with Whiskey Jack being like, something's changed with Corlat.
Yep.
And then Rig's gonna be there. I can feel it.
He has to be there. He said he would.
Yep. Now we've got Calor and Khaled and Brood. Calor watching the dusty water flow uphill, which,
Strange.
well, it's Talani Mass.
Oh, MS. Oh, yep.
Yep, in their dust forms.
Yep.
Um, yeah, because you think something like, "Oh, so you are here. I'm not displeased."
Nope. Like I will have my moment.
And then we've got him going into the tent with Brood. Brood is like depressed that he doubted the Malazans and didn't go with them.
I know. He's like, this is my one mistake. And but then I think it's Calor's argument is interesting. And Cowden Brood's like, well, you haven't faced Decimal Tour, you haven't faced these other people, you haven't faced Rake. Are you really that good?
Yeah, I'll just read some of this. Calor says, "For all that I seem to grate upon all of you, I have walked this land when the Talani Mass were but children. I have commanded armies 100,000 strong. I have spread the fire of my wrath across entire continents and sat alone upon tall thrones. Do you grasp the meaning of this?" And Brood says, "Yes, you never learn, Calor." And then Calor says, "You forget something else about me as well, it seems. With my blade drawn, I have not faced defeat in 100,000 years." And Rude's like, "Yeah, but have you ever fought Animander Rake, Dasim Ultor, Greymane, the Segula First? Me?" Calor's like, "I won't face any of those people over there."
It's just a few of the younger, like weaker guys. Don't worry about it. No, I thought interesting though, Decimal Tour. Sounds like a pretty formidable opponent then.
He was the first
Or
sword of the Empire.
or was. But no, Segula first as well. I thought it was kind of crazy that they know about him and like know how strong they are.
And we haven't heard Greymane before.
Nope. That was the one name I didn't recognize.
And then outside the tent, it feels like a scene from a movie. The Great Raven see Calor's evil smile.
I was so annoyed.
Envy gets to shore. I don't have anything to say about that.
Me neither. She just kind of complained about having to walk, I guess, in the water. That's about it.
Yeah, pretty much. And then we've got the scene with the bridge burners taking out the army that's been sent to take the tunnels. That's a fun scene with some fun uses of magic.
I know. It was pretty cool. Like, well, I thought the tunnels were pretty cool to begin with, like just everything and how it felt like they kind of just stumbled into it. They're like, well, we'll take advantage of this.
Yeah, Piran's like, without the mages, we'd never have found these.
Yep. But no, I thought it was interesting how he's like, well, what are you gonna do? He's like, well, I learned it from Quick Ben. I don't really know how to explain it, but if you don't know what's
Oh,
coming, it works pretty well.
yeah, it was Blue Pearl that lent him the spell.
Oh, Blue Pearl, that's right.
Yeah, and he's like, yeah, so I can't tell you, because these things, vibes go out into the air. and a sorcerer can pick up if I tell you what the spell is. So I'm not going to say anything, but trust me. And then Quickburn tells him who it is, drowns him by transporting water directly into his lungs.
Honestly, it was pretty smart. It's an interesting tactic. I thought that was kind of cool.
And then Quickben has to quickly do sealing spells inside the dude's body to keep the water from expelling out.
But it gets him. I think it's crazy because it kind of felt like a little bit of that like stereotypical movie voodoo stuff where they like stab the doll.
Oh, yeah, it definitely is.
But yeah, no, I thought it was pretty cool. Just like the whole trap and everything. I was like, wow, that was well done.
Yeah. So they had like an hour, and okay, we'll kill the mage, and then we'll topple all of the trees along the path on top of them, and then we'll set them on fire. And Prawn's like,
Yeah.
man, we're bad people for using these, aren't we?
Not when you're fighting who you are, I don't think. I mean, you just went through all the desolated cities of like heaping piles of human, right?
Yeah.
Like you should know you can use whatever tactics because they're gonna play dirty as well.
Yep. That's it for 23.
Yep. It's a long chapter.
Yeah. So is 24. Should we start in?
Might as well. Let's rip the band-aid off.
Chapter 24. Cole watches two members of the masked council approach Hood's temple when he is startled by the appearance of Wrath Shadowthrone, who has been there the whole time. The other two priests, Rathtog and Rathvanderay, are let in. Cole punches out Wrath Shadowthrone and walks inside, where the priests and the Knight of Death face each other over the pit in the floor, waiting for something. Picker and Ansi watch the Panion army from the hillside. They agree they're outmatched and that tactically the Seer should flatten them before reinforcements arrive. Sorcery begins building in front of the enemy, and Picker sends Blend to Dujek. Quickben disperses the bridge burner mages to keep them from getting taken out all at once. Dujek's wearing his full armor, something Quick hasn't seen in years. The High Fist says they can blow the hillside and run, or take out the army below at the risk of their own forces. Because of his promise to burn, Quick knows that he should say that they should run, but because he's a soldier, he and Perron say that they should fight. Blend offers Quickben her trinket that's helped her stay hidden and become Blend, and Quick declines because she's got raw talent and doesn't even know it. Picker watches the enemy approach Quickben. She's never seen him openly unveil a warren. It's not his style, and she doesn't think he can do it. However, illusionary demons appear among the enemy, killing many of them before being quote-unquote taken out by magic. Another illusion on horseback appears and sends a wraith to take out one sorcerer's soul before riding down another and disappearing. The enemy scatter into the trees to either side of the ramp, heading right for the bridge burners. Perron watches Quickben magically build an avalanche to take out the Panions coming up their flank. Three enemy mages each send a wave of power up the slope, and Quick sends each one back into the enemy via warrens. The avalanche is let loose and annihilates the enemy on their flank. On the opposite side, however, sorcery devastates the Malazan line. A condor appears and takes out a company of Moranth with magic. Quickben tells Perron to draw a condor in the dirt and then thumps his fist on the drawing, sending the bird careening out of the sky. The two men run towards the downed bird and are attacked by sorcery, Quick taking them into a warren of water to get away, which causes Perron to lose his sword. Quickben tries using a wraith on the bird, which is destroyed with sorcery. The captain attacks the condor with his dagger and is engulfed in feathers, the beak snipping through his ear. Quick watches a shadow hound appear around Perron and attack the bird savagely. When the bird is dead, Perron is badly scratched and wounded, and Quick takes him to a healer. Picker cannot believe what Quickben has done and tells Blend to get the other bridge burners. Perron wakes up in the healer's tent. Mallet comes to, quote, make his face pretty again, but Perron says he'll live with the scars and there are others that need it more. At the command center, Dujek believes that the reason the Panions have pulled back is because their reinforcements are close, and the Seer doesn't want his forces engaged when the Malazans arrive. The bridge burners will be dropped off in Quarrel by Moranth to blow a hole in the Seer's compound. Dujek will be close behind. Whiskey Jack and Corlat stand on a ridge overlooking Quarrel. Calor offers his formal apology and tactical prowess. Come the dawn, Whiskey Jack will have his forces positioned on the ridge to attack the city and draw the pressure off Dujek. Orphantal and Korlak will assume their soul-taken forms, one guarding the air above each force. The pair ride back to their forces, and had they waited half a dozen heartbeats, Korlat would have seen the first Moranth descend to the city. Half a dozen heartbeats in which Opan's coin turns from lady to lord. As the bridge burners fly into Coral, Perron notices condors atop the keep. The squads descend, and Perron orders crossbows up the roofs to take them out with sharper mounted quarrels. Hedge will take care of the cussor bundle needed to blow through the wall. Given that they only have 12 quarrels for 30 birds, Perron wants to make another distraction. Quick says that they're both bird and demon, with the demon being stuffed inside the bird, and Perron calls Spindle over. On the tower wall, Toes has opened his warren, which is Hood's, and is using spirits who have fallen from the wall to carry the hooks up, which he then sets for the Marines. Kachain and Shamal start filing out of the keep's gate, and Perron tells Picker to draw them away from Dujek. Before they separate, she bets him half her pay that she'll die first, to be paid at Hood's gate, and tells him the knives in his back have been turned away for a while now. Quick Ben uses curled Ghislaine to get them to the rooftop just as 12 condors explode and the wall is breached. Spindle unleashes his warren and sends the birds crazy, but the demons quickly take control and Quick says they need to run. Outside Coral's west wall, a swirl of dust takes shape as Tool. He could rise over the wall on the wind or go between the bricks as dust, but the Panions have taken his friend or all fail. It is time for the first order of the Tulane Mass to announce himself. Dujek arrives in the city and begins giving orders when condors take out 1,000 Moranth and quarrels and 5 of his companies. Some Moranth make successive suicidal attacks to kill the 3 condors, and Dujek begins revising his orders again when he's told the Panions hold every street except where the Malazans are, and they have Kachain Shamal as well. Quickben and Perron and the rest of the squad are hidden from the condors atop the keep roof and watches Moranth make a bombing run on the eastern part of the city, paying a heavy price for it. A cussor explodes behind Picker, killing a Kachain Shamal. The bridge burners have been decimated. Only 16 are fit to fight, with 6 more wounded, 3 of those at Hood's gate. Picker had them turn and fight, and they were slaughtered. Another hunter appears, but so does Tool, pushing a destroyed one through a wall and decimating the second. Picker orders her soldiers to follow him. Whiskey Jack prepares his forces to attack the 800 Kachain Shamal massing below, knowing they will die to buy Dujek more time. Corlat prepares to veer into her soul-taken form. The 2 Marines and Silver Fox appear, the Bonecaster heading towards Artanthos. Calor sees his opportunity and takes it, knocking Corlat with the flat of his blade before rushing Silver Fox. Whiskey Jack stands in his way and they exchange blows. Calor loses his balance, and Whiskey Jack executes a perfect lunge towards the warlord's chest, but his leg buckles and Calor impales him on his sword. Corlat watches the life leave his eyes as Calor withdraws his blade to effortlessly kill the 2 Marines. Suddenly, golden magic attacks him in waves, and he calls out to the crippled god, disappearing into a sickly warren. Artanthos is revealed to be Taishrin, and he is racked by grief. Orphan Tull and Brood are on their way to the hilltop, and Corlat wonders if Hood is happy. Gruntle roused at Kovian from sleep in the night to ride to Coral. He and his followers form a tiger that speeds off towards the city. When Kovian arrives, his horse dies, and he dismounts, drawn unerringly towards the Tulane Mass. He is not yet done. Silver Fox screams at him, but he does not hear, and Gruntle knows he is offering the Imass his embrace. In answer, the undead beings kneel to the ground.
And that happened.
That happened. Should we wait until the end to talk? Let's end the episode with that.
Yeah. I'm like, let's just get through the rest of the stuff because the rest of the stuff is really cool. Like starting with Cole, I think it's interesting how little we still know, I feel like, but it's just like every once in a while there's still something. But I think it's hilarious that he knocks out Wrath Shadow Throne and then leaves.
Yeah, Wrath Shadow Throne is like, I've been here the whole time. And yeah, I saw you with the horses. You stepped away every time one of them was trying to bite you. Yeah, I know. I knew they were going to do that. And he's like, are you bragging about outwitting some horses?
He's like, yes.
Shut up. Punches him in the face and knocks him out. I hate spies.
I think it's interesting, the detail though that the Mass Council has appointed their new prince.
It's Prince Erard, the prince that Ansi and Spindle took it upon themselves to talk with, and Pran was like
Yep.
horrified. So he was the prince of another city, and I think they're just making him the prince of this city also.
Yeah. Still, like I think it's interesting, like how
Yeah,
they're moving on from it all.
yeah. Rathtog and Rathfandere are lovers who have never touched each other.
It's so bizarre.
Cole's like, how does
It's,
that work? Use your imagination.
you can figure it out.
It's simple to figure out. Those 2 priests in the Night of Death are just facing each other, waiting for something.
I know. Just waiting.
Yeah, we've got Picker and Ansi talking. Every soldier is a tactician. And they're like, yeah, so we're outmatched, so the Panion should crush us before our reinforcements arrive, right?
Yeah. I mean, it's interesting that was it here or the last chapter Oh no, it was here. But Quick Ben's like we should stay
Yeah,
and fight. Like let's just do it.
yeah. I've got a he gives us a hint at what he and Piran were up to because he thinks his promise to burn to help her.
Yeah.
And he and Piran were gonna do something about that, but he's like, yeah, but we're soldiers too.
Yeah,
So,
we kind of promised to do this first.
mhm. And then Blend's like, here, this can help you. And it's a worthless stone that she bought in a city that she thought has given her the ability to sneak around and be Blend. And Quick's like, she doesn't even know. She's like using magic.
Which I think is hilarious.
It's Erickson pulls a double reverse there, where he's like, so here's the source of who Blend is, and then Quickman's like, yeah, but that's not. But if I take the stone, then she won't believe she can anymore.
Yep. That's half the battle.
Hey, did you know Quickben was this awesome?
I knew he was awesome, but I'm finally glad we got to see him in combat, even though he isn't a combat wizard.
Yeah, Picker's like, I've never seen him do something like this before. I don't know if he can.
And then like unleashes like an illusion Warren that like literally kills people out of fear,
Yeah,
right?
well, the soldiers believe the demons are real, so the demons become real and actually like tear them apart.
Yep. But not only does he send in one, he sends in eight.
Yeah,
And like they're just kind of dumbfounded and they're like, holy cow. Like this is like uncon like that is like so hard to do even for like a mage of just that Warren.
and then he sends in another illusion that I think is needlessly complicated. Someone on a
Oh,
horse that throws an axe that then turns into a wraith that goes inside a sorcerer and takes its soul and bursts up out of his brain.
that one took me a second to read through because I was like, wait a second. I understood the wraiths, I understood the demons, I understood a lot of other things that are happening, but what happened here? Yeah, that one's kind of complicated. But I mean, I feel like it would have to be to take out a mage. Like you
Yeah.
need something to trick the mage.
And then Pron's like, oh, holy crap. Quickben's like magically creating a scree or an avalanche that's gonna tumble down the hill and like take everyone out. And then three mages shoot waves of power up the slope, and Quickben just like opens a gateway to a warren that goes right into the enemy behind them.
So smart. It's crazy though is the condors.
Yeah, what did you think of Quick being like, draw the bird now? And Pron's like, I'm not good at drawing. Draw the effing bird now.
Do it. That works.
Thump and Condor, boom.
Also, this guy.
And then as they're running towards the bird, they're attacked by sorcery again, and he just takes them into a warren full of water and back out.
But it sounds like that did a little bit of damage.
Yeah, I mean, they were transported to a place of intense pressure
To be immediately out.
for half a second. Yeah,
But then he tries to stab with the dagger and the dagger doesn't work.
yeah. I mean, dagger on a magical demon bird makes sense.
Yeah, it wasn't a Tadaro, I'll tell you that much.
But then there's like a shadow outline of a hound around
Oh
Peron.
yeah, I thought that was so cool. Because Quick Ben's, I loved that it's from Quick Ben. He's just sitting there, like you see him do all this crazy magic, and then he sits there. He's like, "What is going on?" He's like, "What is
Mm-hmm.
that?" He's like, "It's not soul taken. That's just like a
They're
shadow."
they're connected somehow. What the hell is this?
He's like, "What's going on?" And it saves him, takes out the bird, which is pretty cool. But like, sounds like Prawn got beat up quite a bit. You know,
Yeah, Quick Ben can barely see his face through all the blood.
his there's like a chunk of his ear was sliced off. It sounded like.
Yeah,
And his like the skin was coming off of his face, which is kind of gross. I'm like, yeah, he shouldn't be alive.
and Peron has no awareness whatsoever. Quick Ben's like, "We're taking you to a healer," and he's like, "A healer? Why?"
He's like, don't ask.
And then Picker's like, "What did I just see?"
How did that happen? Let's get out of here.
Kudos to Peron though for being like, "Yeah, I'll live with the scars. Go save people's lives."
Yeah. I mean, I feel like part of me was thinking though, I'm like, here's this guy who's like, I kind of want these scars to show like I've been through something at least to kind of take the royalty edge off, you know.
Yeah, he does mean it, I think, but there is that because
Yeah,
he's been seen as the pretty noble boy.
I know. So I think personally a little bit was like that drove that was like he meant like go save the other people. I think as well it's like him being like now I have something to show people.
I think the old Gnos at the beginning of Gardens of the Moon would have been like, yeah, heal me.
Oh yeah, 100%.
And then they get there and Dujek's like, "Okay, I'm sending you on a Black Ops mission. Go take out a hole in the compound. That's it."
You guys are going in first. We'll be in within a half hour after you. That's like straight up like you have this much time. It's like do or die.
Yeah. And we'll get to it, but seeing the bridge burners do like special ops stuff with magic is so cool.
Oh, it's so cool. Like this book, I'm like some of these scenes, I'm like, I this would be a cool movie scene to watch.
Mm-hmm.
I'm like, I wouldn't want to see Perron's face, bloodied up, but I'd love to see some of the other things going on.
Whiskey Jack and Corlat standing over the city, discussing plans, none of which we really need to talk about because those
Oh,
coming done quick. I love the ending of this section though.
oh, yeah. Opan's coin.
Had their conversation continued for another half dozen heartbeats, Corlat, with her preternatural vision, would have seen the first flight of black moranth rise from the mountain's forested slope, 40 in all, and flying low, wing hard and fast for the city. A half dozen heartbeats within which Opan's coin spun, a single lazy turn from lady to lord.
Yeah. I was like, ah, crap. That's not good.
Yeah, Erickson's not even disguising it. Like, yeah, this is chance, and chance. Guess what? There's a god of chance in my world, so stuff like this is gonna happen.
It's not going to be pretty. Yeah. I was, as soon as I read that, I was like, this isn't going to be good.
Yep.
And then it got worse than I thought it could.
Yeah, this entire book, I've been thinking of what has now become a meme, but Luke Skywalker in The Last Jedi, like, this is not going to go the way you think.
No, it has not.
No. Next scene, we've got the bridge burners doing their super awesome special ops stuff.
Which, like, is just like we see Toe do his cool little thing, which I thought was
People
kind of
fall off
fun
walls all the time, so he's using those spirits because they want to go back to the top of the wall.
because they're confused why they're down here.
Yeah, it's like, oh, okay.
Yeah. I mean, it makes sense. I'm like, oh, yeah, I guess so. Like, yeah, that's the thing. Like, people just fall off the wall.
And this wall is hundreds of years old, so of course people have fallen off it.
Yep. And it sounds like Hood has put up quite a fight to keep his warren not corrupted, which I mean makes sense knowing who he is.
As Cole said, it's hard to corrupt the god of death.
Oh yeah, very, very much is.
And then, as if it couldn't get worse, Kachin and Shamal start filing out of the gate. Prawn's like, "Okay, we're gonna go deal with the birds. You deal with Kachin and Shamal, and pick Dark Soldier's humor. Like, half my back pay that we die first. You got to pay me when we're at Hood's gate."
Oh, I know. I was like, well, at least they know what's gonna happen.
Prawn's like, "Deal."
Yeah, I'll take that. I'll take that bet. But
Oh,
like,
and
I
by the
think it's
by the way, we haven't wanted to kill you for a while now.
yeah. No, I thought that was a nice little touch at
It
the
was
end
it was a nice moment.
where she's like, "Hey, by the way, we actually accept you. You're pretty cool."
We like you, yeah.
Yeah. No, I think it's crazy though that it's like now that I think about it, this is the first time they've seen live Kachin Malls. Like at least these guys.
Yeah.
Like they haven't seen them in action yet. And so I was like, oh, these guys it's game over for some of them. This isn't looking good.
What did you? Quick uses Curled Ghislaine, the Tystan D Warren, to take them to the rooftop.
I had some questions because I was like, wait a second, how do you get that?
Yeah, humans aren't supposed to be able to use that.
I'm taking that as a Raffo then, maybe.
Yeah,
Okay. Yeah, because I was like, that's not a thing.
yeah. I was like, oh, I forgot he did that here.
Yeah. Because Piran was like, wait, hold on.
Wait, Curled Ghislaine, what the hell?
He's like, I may be new to this whole master of the deck thing, but there is one thing I feel pretty confident about. You're not supposed to be able to do that.
Mm-hmm. I also love that Quick, Piran's like, "Okay, Quick Ben, what are those birds?" I don't know. Too bad. Different answer.
Uh,
Well, they're demons stuffed inside birds. So who does the flight? Birds. Okay, Spindle, you're gonna mess with them.
yeah, I thought that was funny because he's like, no, you know the answer. Try again.
You
Oh,
didn't
okay.
think Spindle's war and driving animals crazy would be an important plot point, did you?
We don't know what his warrant is, do we? It hasn't
No.
said, as far as I know. Okay. Yeah, because I was like, I haven't learned it. I'm like, that's a bizarre warrant.
Yeah. Yeah. Bet you didn't think that would be a plot point.
I didn't think so either. Crazy hair shirt man with his animal warrant. I didn't
Yep.
think that would come up again.
Yeah. This scene kind of reminds me of in The Prisoner of Azkaban when Hermione gets the werewolf to come run towards them to distract it. She's like, "Oh crap, what do we do now? Run!" I didn't think that far ahead. That's Peron right now with the birds. Like, okay, we distracted him. Let's keep him here and run across the rooftop.
Honestly, this just sounds like anything that can go wrong is going wrong. This whole battle.
Yep, that's what you get for being part of a greedy empire, I guess.
But I mean, I think a part of it as well is just like the exhaustion of everyone. They've been moving
Hmm.
pretty quick because, I mean, they kind of know they have to move quick. So,
I don't have anything about Tool showing up. It's just an awesomely written scene.
oh, it so is. Okay, I don't have much to say either, but I was like, okay, that's awesome that Tool's like, I'm here to save my friend. Which I'm like, okay, coming from anyone else, I really wouldn't care that much. But the fact that it's Tool, who's like, we're friends, that means a lot.
Yeah, who didn't care at the beginning of the book?
I
And he's
know.
like, I could go over, I could go, like, I could do this quietly, but I'm going through the wall. Like, you're
He's
gonna
like,
know I'm here.
he's like, I am the first sword. I am the one that's going to destroy you. Like, you will know my entrance. And I was like, heck yeah, let's do this. I'm excited. And then we just see him take out a couple Kachane Chamals, and that's it at the end of this chapter. And I was like, ah, hopefully we get to see more.
Matt won't get this reference because he hasn't seen Breaking Bad, at least not yet. But Tool is the one who knocks.
Ah,
Have you
I
seen
will
that
have
meme
to.
at all?
No, but I'm gonna have
Okay.
to keep that in mind now. So when I do get to that point, I'll be like, oh, I understand a pop culture reference.
We need, we've been trying to get together because I showed Matt with a couple other friends. I showed Matt the first episode and a half of Breaking Bad, and then we just haven't been able to get together again to watch it.
Nope, it's rather unfortunate.
Yeah. Then we've got Dujek giving orders, and then 1,000 of his or 1,000, yeah, of his soldiers and 1,000 war ants all die. And then
Insane.
he begins giving more orders, and then they're like, yeah, but this the enemy holds like every street, and also they've got Kachin Shamal, and he's like, okay, um, take some defendable buildings. That's all I've got.
Like, I don't know then, guys. Let's just be smart about it. You're intelligent. Try
Yeah,
not to get killed.
kill more of them than kill more of them than they kill of us. That's the plan.
Yep. And they make a bombing run.
Yeah, that's cool.
It's
From being
cool.
like it seemed to take forever before they hit, and then
Boom, boom, boom.
yep, and then the bridge burners are not doing well.
Nope. It's crazy how fast it sounds like they are, which I feel like these guys would have heard enough stories to know like they're quick, but the fact that they're like we stand no chance that quick is kind of crazy.
Yeah, I mean, yeah, they could change smaller stuff out of Legends. So Picker was like, "Let's see what we can do," and then watches her friends die, and she's like, "Okay, we're running."
We're not gonna try that again. We're just gonna leave now. Yeah. No, and then but what like reading the scene where Tool just blows through one, shoving it through a wall, and then walks up and then like blazingly fast where Picker's like, I don't even know what happened. Destroys another one and then just keeps walking. She's like, all right,
We're going with him,
guys, we're staying by him. New plan.
but he's going towards the keep. Okay, so are we.
Yep. If you want to live, I think he's the guy to do it.
And then we come to the scene. Whiskey Jack Calor sees his opportunity. Silver Fox is there, tries to kill her. Whiskey Jack stands in his way like he said he would, and his leg buckles, and he is killed. Your
Yep.
thoughts?
Well, first off, 800 could change them all. I was like, what are they going to do to that? And then the Talana Mash show up. And then I see Calor and I'm like, crap. And then I see Whiskey Jack try to stop and I'm like, oh, he's got it. He'll hold him off for a second. And then it's like, and his leg buckles. I'm like, he's gonna get injured. That's it. And then the sword impales him. And then you see Corlett like the life leave his eyes. And I was like, no, that's not a thing, is it? I'm like, is it over? I was
Oh,
like,
Erickson does not leave it ambiguous at all. He's like, he impales him with his sword. It rips through his heart and his lungs sideways.
yep,
And Corlat watches the light leave his eyes.
yep.
And then I was like you, where I was like, that did not happen, did it?
Yeah, I think I read it a second time because I just sat there. Like I was working on homework today most this afternoon, and I was like, all right, I'll sit down, finish this out, take an hour. So I sat down, and then at the end of that hour, I was like, I don't even want to go. Like, do I just go eat dinner now? Like, what do I do? Like, I want to go work
Yep.
on homework. I was like, this is
Yep.
dumb. I was like, I'll just leave it at this. Let me finish this book, and then I'll just throw it on the shelf and not read this series. This is dumb. I was like, podcast over. Sorry, Nate. I don't take lightly to this. I'm like, I already went through the Chain of Dogs campaign, and now I have to go through this. I'm like, this is
I
stupid.
mean, there's a pattern here. Be prepared for the endings of these books.
I know. I was prepared for like almost complete destruction of all the armies, and like, but at least Whiskey Jack making it.
Yeah, Whiskey Jack's the main character, right? He'll last.
I was like, I thought he would last until at least book 10, and then he would die.
Same that kind of series.
Ugh, yeah. I was like, are you kidding me? I got through a whole nother book of like a depressing slog in March through another massacre, and then to get to the end, and you're like, maybe this one will be a little different. Nope,
No.
not at all.
How sad are you from 1 to 10? And then how pissed off are you from 1 to 10? Specifically, how pissed off are you at Steven Erickson?
Like on a scale of 1 to 10 of sadness, like it's just like slowly throughout the rest of the time reading after reading this, it's been like a slow, like even more settling in and talking about now has like made it more real where I'm like, ah, this is stupid. And so I'd say it's like probably solid 7 or 8. Um, like I was like, ah, that was sad. Like it like I never really tear up over fictional characters, but like I got close, so I was like,
Oh,
okay, this one hit different. And and then being like at Erickson, it's understandable. And so like I'll give him a 5. I'm like halfway because half of me is like, you're the worst. All right. Book one was already hard enough to get through. Book two was hard enough to get through. Now book three, I'm like, this isn't series of unfortunate events. You didn't title it that, but then the other half of me is like, all right, yeah, it's part of this empire. It's a war. It makes sense, but yeah,
yeah. It's not the series of unfortunate events, but the series is called Book of the Fallen.
yeah. No, which is like understandable. Like reading it, I'm like, I know this isn't exactly gonna be a bright ending to a lot of this because it is the Book of the Fallen. So, and I was like, and then you just see Corlat laying there, completely like dazed, and she's like, is this real? Like what's happening?
Yeah. My first time reading, I actually have a hard time remembering. It's weird. When I've read a series multiple times, I then have trouble remembering the first time that I read it.
Gotcha.
But I remember being like, no, no,
No,
no way.
I'm
Um,
like, yeah, my thought was like, you took Coltane, you took his entire army. Seven Cities is in a complete disaster. You've already done a lot here. We can't like let's not lose him. He's the one guy I don't want to lose. He can take a lot of other people, just not him.
and yeah. Um, and then I think this whole book not this whole book, but once or twice you've brought up that maybe Artanthos is like a claw or something. Nope, he's Tayshran. He's been here the whole time.
That idiot. As soon as I read that, I was like, that makes so much sense. I'm like, of course it's him. I was like, of course it's him.
Yep. And Corlat realizes that he did all he could. He was kept back because Calor's got that crippled god energy around him now, and she's amazed that he even was able to do anything.
Because he knocked her out, which is saying a lot. Like she was about to be dragon form.
Uh-huh.
And so like for him to do that, like I feel bad because you got Silver Fox, which you can tell, like this is probably one of my favorite Silver Fox scenes where she's like genuinely, I feel like a bit distraught, a bit like that just happened. Like, Corlat, you okay? Like, that was terrible. Like, it affected everyone. Still kind of hate Tayshirin a bit, but like, it's understandable he did what he could.
Yeah.
But,
And those poor Marines that we never get the names of
no, the
that
nameless ones.
that just chose to defend Silver Fox.
Yep. And they got killed pretty quickly.
Mm-hmm. They fought well together, but it's Calor. Yeah,
Yep.
that's
Uh,
that's Whiskey Jack's death.
I feel bad for Tayshirin a bit though, because like you can tell, like he had probably been waiting to talk to Whiskey Jack. I feel like, and now he doesn't have that chance.
I am also like, you dick. You have had months on this march to talk to the man.
Oh, same. Same. Like, I think the same thing. I'm like, I feel bad because, like, he's never been able to do it and I has to live with it. But I'm like, you've had how much time? Like, it's the worst.
Yep, and Whiskey Jack never got that leg fixed.
It was his end.
A small thing in Guardians of the Moon, Whiskey Jack has a pillar fall on top of him and break his leg. And here it is.
I know, because, like, he blocked Cowler pretty well.
He
Like,
was going in for the chest stab.
Whiskey Jack was no joke, but his freaking leg. And, like, even, like, Brood and everyone comes at the end and they're like, wow, that happened.
Uh-huh.
Which I think probably is going to affect Brood a little bit. I think maybe we'll see that because he was already like, I should have just gone. Like,
Mm-hmm.
we didn't need to hang back. Like, we should have pushed on. And now he's probably like, yeah, we definitely should have pushed on.
Yeah. And I sent Calor ahead, and look what happened.
Yep. Yep.
And then the last scene of the chapter, if you're ready to
Yeah.
move on. Last scene of the chapter, Gruntul is like, okay, something's happened. I'm going. He and his followers form a gigantic tiger
Pretty
and
cool.
just run away. And Kovian gets there and he's like, oh, this is why I'm here. And he goes to the Talani Mass and offers them his embrace. And they all turn to him and kneel down.
And Silver Fox is not happy about that.
No. Well, also, Silver Fox called the Talon A to defend her from Calor, and they did not come because she offended them.
Yep. Thought that was interesting.
It's I reference this all the time. This I don't know why this one line from this one episode of a podcast has stuck with me for like a couple years now. But this guy in a podcast one time said like he was talking about a story from his past and he was like, and then I went, oh no, it's the consequences of my actions. That's what's happening to Silver Fox right now.
Oh yeah. No, she didn't make the brightest decisions. I thought the same thing. I'm like, well, this was on you. Like you did this to yourself.
This is that scene of Itkovian.
Oh, nice. The Talana Mass.
Yep. I just showed Matt in a very low quality, my very low quality laptop camera. Shout out Santi Lozano, like the leading Malazan artist. He does a bunch of artwork for the series, and he's got a website. If you search him online, you'll find him. But you can go buy Malazan artwork. I think he's got some Wheel of Time and Lord of the Rings and other artwork as well. So really
Cool.
cool.
I did want to mention this going back a little
Got
bit,
it.
but I thought it was kind of sad to see Corlat's thought of like, Hood, I hope you're happy. You took my heart.
Yeah.
Which I was like, okay, that was like you knew the relationship they had was legit, but that like really sealed the deal. And for someone to be that old and like I feel like she was still like this whole chapter and a half or whatever Corlat and her like internal monologue. I feel like there's still a lot of naivety to her about certain things. Like, yeah, there's a lot of things that come with that age that she knows, but I think the thing with Whiskey Jack was like a first for her.
Yeah. Is there is there a saying like I know I've heard something like said in jest, but also kind of seriously that real love turns you stupid or like makes you an idiot, like makes you naive
Oh yeah.
and youthful and joyful once again if you haven't had that for a long time.
Yeah.
Because there's also like I feel like Whiskey Jack was teaching Corlat how to live again because she like he gets there to the commanders and he looks at her and she sees love and also like the raw anticipation for nighttime and when they can meet
Hmm.
together again. And she's like, oh man, these mortals live.
She's like, this is awesome. She's like, I forgot like living is like this.
Yeah, I forgot living is supposed to have some fun and joy in there.
So it was pretty sad to see that because I was like, oh wow, that's she's gonna be out of that fight. I feel like, or
Yeah,
channel crazy dragon power just to like decimate everyone and like kind of like a suicide run maybe is my thought, but it's just insane that that's
yeah.
what happened. I was like, now we got a whole nother chapter to read, so we'll see how it all wraps up.
A very long chapter too. The next chapter and the epilogue together over 100 over 100 pages.
Yep,
So now we got to wait for a bit to talk about it.
I know. I'll keep my notes. I'll probably read it the next couple days and over the weekend.
Yep.
But well, that was questioning all my decisions now of reading this series, but
Oh, just you wait.
yeah, it's so lame.
There's a there's a reason so many people love the whole series, Matt, and don't stop when Whiskey Jack dies.
No, I know. But it was kind of the same. It's the same thing with book two, where you get to that point and you're like, wow, that was sad.
I've been there before. It's
Yeah.
like what's even the point now?
It's what's that meme? I know you've seen it, but it's the dude sitting on the swing and like staring out a window and like I don't remember in what context it's used usually, but it's kind of like that. Do you know what I'm talking about?
I don't. But you bringing up meme
Let me
or
find it.
bringing up memes, I'm going to after this after we're done recording, I will show you my latest meme on the Malazan subreddit, Dust of Memes, and I will make you laugh because I made it about this chapter specifically.
Yeah.
Oh, yep. Okay.
Yep.
Uh yeah, it's the dude
From Narcos, I
um
found out.
yeah, from Narcos standing in the pool sitting at his on his like park bench kind of thing and sitting at his kitchen table like what's even the point now?
Yeah, no, that's exactly kind of like how I felt, where I'm just sitting there like, what? What do I do?
Yep, I had to set the book down for I don't know, a minute when it happened.
Oh, well, that's it. That's all I got this week.
Cool.
Thanks for listening. How's that, Todd?